Hello everyone, my name is Christian and welcome to my hobby blog. So today I want to do kind of an extended review. This is something that usually I don't do. Usually I just give reactions and just general details about a film. But just to start off, I watched a movie tonight by Isao Takahata, I believe is his name. I've seen his other works. I've seen Grave of the Fireflies and some other ones, which I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I do know he's done Grave of the Fireflies because around the time when that movie came out in theaters in Japan, My Neighbor Totoro by Hayao Miyazaki came out. And this film, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, I want to go ahead and apologize. I don't actually own the movie. I got it from Netflix. But this was the first watch for me tonight, and I think it's one of the best Studio Ghibli films. It is produced by them, so it's under that same production company. But this movie was supposed to come out around the same time as The Wind Rises by Hayao Miyazaki, which is also another, epic film by one of the great animation directors in Japan. And what this film is about story-wise is all about a bamboo cutter who cuts into a tree that looks very different. It is surrounded by light, and there's a light emanating from within. And he cuts it open and finds a baby. Basically, he pulls the baby out and it shrinks to like a fetus size. And as he's holding the baby, it grows into a baby size. And he quickly brings the baby home. And the grandmother, about, elderly years. And so the grandmother of the baby, basically, they just kind of take the baby under their wing. And they go to a wet nest, and on the way, the grandmother becomes able to nurture the child again, meaning that it can feed it milk through the breast. And by this point, we had multiple just really vibrant scenes. The art style is just so different from a Hayao Miyazaki film. It looked as if it was painted rather than drawn with pencils as Miyazaki does, where he draws out the scene and then he colors it. But with this movie, you could see a lot of negative space around like the borders. Like, it was just really incredible, and it looked like watercolor, art. So every frame of this movie, you could just probably pause it and make it a desktop background. But so they decide to go back home, and they're like, okay, we're gonna raise this baby now. And so they start raising the baby, and it's growing really quickly. Like in a day, it grows up to be about like 1 year old, like physically, and the baby starts, crawling around. And then by the end of the scene, it's walking around. And usually that takes a pretty long while, a couple months, as far as I know. I don't have a baby. But she meets a couple of the village kids, because this does take place in the 900s, like 900s Japan. 900 years after, zero current era. Like, it's based on a folktale, a Japanese folktale, which I don't know too much about, but as I watched this movie, I kind of recognized the story. I may have done like a Wikipedia binge at some point about Japanese folklore, so this was really exciting for me to be watching this film. And she meets the village kids, and as she's hanging out with them, she's learning about the beauty of nature, and they catch birds, they steal like a farmer's like coconuts or something, like melons, and they hide from the angry farmer, or not the angry farmer, but like the farmer's kind of like, huh, like, where did that, who had this melon here? Because they left it in the road because they dropped it and they were about to be caught. But she grows up like to about like 10 years old, 11 years old, and as she has been on her adventures with the village boys, the grandfather figure finds a couple different bamboo plants full of different other stuff. One of them, he cuts it open and gold nuggets just fall out, enough to fill like a jug. So like a lot of money, especially back then where gold was not something that just anybody could find. And then in another bamboo tree, he cuts it open and hundreds of kimonos fall out, like really nice looking kimonos. It's pretty fantastical. Let me just say that now. And from there on, he realizes, because she's about 10, 11, he's like, I'm going to go buy a mansion in the capital city. They don't really say what capital city it is, which was really interesting. They don't really give any geography for this film. And so one day, she's getting ready to make a stew with the village boys, and it's a little, hinting at a romantic relationship between one of the boys and her. And they leave for the capital. She doesn't know when she's going to go back, so she just kind of puts the ingredients for the stew aside, and we don't see them again for a while until the end of the film. But from there, she becomes a princess, and they hire somebody from like somebody religious who gives names to like nobility, and he gives her the name of Princess Kaguya, who also has the title of like originator of sunshine or something like that, of sunlight. And throughout the film from there, she meets a couple suitors, 5 suitors, who want to like take her hand in marriage. And she doesn't want that. She's very independent. She knows what she wants, but the grandfather figure is like, you're gonna marry the emperor, you're gonna get to the top. And she doesn't want that. And I was talking to my dear friend Alf before filming this, because I was kind of asking if she'd seen it, and she said yes, and she didn't really like it because there's a lot of sexism in this film, and there is. And that's the thing that's can draw people off, because there's just throughout the entire film, after she leaves that village of her home, she is constantly told who she's gonna marry, what she's gotta do. Her counselor is like, she's not listening to me, she's not learning to be a proper lady, and like all this stuff. And so throughout the entire film, she's just like, fuck you, to authority, and telling them like, I don't want to marry anybody, I want to be on my own. And so finally, she's like, okay, 5 suitors, go get me these impossible items. One of them is the bowl of Buddha that he drank from. One of them is a jewel from a dragon's neck, which he goes off, the suitor goes off to like the middle of the ocean to fight these dragons, and the ship just capsizes and he dies, which is really funny, because like they are just so desperate to marry the most beautiful woman ever, because by this point she's like 17, 18 or so, something marriageable age back then in the 900s. But another guy has like fire resistant hair from like some special like tree or something. It's like fire rat fur, I think is what it's called, and it's not supposed to burn. And she's like, and he's like showing this thing to her while she's like behind curtains and stuff, so no one can see her. And he's like describing how much money they spent on this, and it looks really beautiful, it's sparkling, you get all the animation. But like while he's showing it off, he's just she's just looking at it and like, okay, if it's so resistant to fire and it's so expensive, burn it. He's like, oh, there's imperfections, this and the other. And he's like, hey, all the more reason to burn it. And so he does, and he completely falls into poverty because of that, because he spent so much money on this, trying to win the hand of this woman. And it shows that money cannot buy a woman's happiness. And she talks about later in the film wanting to kill herself because her father figure is like, oh my gosh, the emperor has his eyes on you. Like, you need to marry him so I can become an official in the government. And she's like, I will kill myself if I do that. And if having a hat on your head makes you so happy, then I will agree to the marriage and then kill myself. And it is just... And it's just very... This movie is very feminist, which I really liked about it. The entire movie, this woman is fighting for her own happiness. And I don't want to give away too much of the plot. It is a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. It's a pretty long one. It's as long as The Wind Rises and the other Miyazaki film. I can't remember the name right now, but it's the one with the wolf. It's a later Miyazaki. But, yeah, this movie was just really incredible. I just really loved it. The music, as always, it's Joe Hisaishi, I believe his name is. He does a lot of the Miyazaki music. If you've seen any Miyazaki movie, you've heard his music, and you know just how perfect it is. I mean, the music when the kids are singing and it slowly morphs throughout time, because she is supposed to be like an immortal nymph from a very special location, which I won't say, but she slowly remembers the actual words to this song that originated from her people. And the entire time, it's slowly building, and she remembers, one more verse, and then another verse, throughout the entire film. And by the end of the movie, it's just this very touching song. And the entire time, it just became better and better, and more just beautiful. And it really reminded me of the song from Nausicaa, Valley of the Winds, where there's not really words to that song, but it's the na 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 na. That song, when our main character breaks through like the layer of the earth and gets down to the cleansing layer of the world, where she sees this bright, golden light emanating from somebody, I believe, or it's emanating from her. It's somebody. It's been a while since I've seen it, but there's that song that you can hear like a little girl humming, and that song just hits you like at the end. And the song in this movie did the same. And so yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much, but this is probably one of my favorite Miyazaki films. Well, not Studio Ghibli films, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna have to own this. Like, I was just really shocked just at the quality of this film. So, I don't have really any other thoughts. The art style was just amazing, as I've said. But let me know what you guys saw of this film. I mean, this was one of the last big Miyazaki films I've been wanting to see. Oh, fuck. Studio Ghibli, I'm sorry, I get it mixed up. Because it is really fucking good. And his other film, Grave of the Fireflies, is just... It was emotional for me on an totally other level, because that movie is just, despair the entire time. Yeah, just let me know what you guys think of this film. If you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, let me know when you do see it, and comment below. This was just a really special movie.